All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to HR Heretics. Today, we're going to cover the future of management. And there's a couple reasons why. So Kelli and I have been talking about these big changes that are happening right now in tech over the course of the last year. It started with our conversation with Tomasz, and he was like talking about span of control and flatter orgs. In the last week, I've seen two really interesting instances. So one is Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of NVIDIA. He infamously has 60 direct reports and doesn't do one-on-ones. And so we'll talk about that. But then the second one, which I just heard this morning on my way into work, was the CPO and founder of Canva on Lenny's podcast saying that they don't have managers, they have coaches. And when Lenny did the double click, it was like, are these like outside of the organization or inside of the organization? The Canva CPO was like, they're inside the org, and it turns out we have 800 or 1,000 of them, which sounds a lot like managers to me. But anyways, I feel like things are starting to change, and there's this bigger revolt happening around the traditional way of work and the way that we've worked. But now we're starting to see some of these ideas and now the second order effects and the trade-offs of those ideas. Mm-hmm. So Kelli, what's your take? Where do you think we're going?
I like the new ideas. In my simple brain, I was thinking about this, and I think a lot of this stuff that we're seeing out there, coaches, not managers, right? Mastery, not levels, career. I mean, it's kind of tweaks on what's been before, but we didn't do it that great before. So we're going to call it something different and tweak it a bit. So I don't mean to be cynical here, but I think there's a lot of stuff that worked well with the stuff before, some stuff that didn't work well. And I think we're tweaking the name and saying it's something else. But for example, if I listen to how he talked about coaches, and let's just put it into 8 bullets, Nolan, that's the definition of a fucking manager. It's just, I agree. We don't like managers that are shitty managers. Like we like HR. We don't like bad HR. So yeah, it's just, look, people, like, this stuff can work and it can work well. But I think we're seeing people saying, let's tweak the parts that haven't worked well and maybe renaming it, which is fine.
Okay. So my take is on the NVIDIA situation. So 60 direct reports. He doesn't do one-on-ones. I posted this on LinkedIn, and there was a really good discussion in the comment thread. My take is actually, I love that. We've actually been doing this in my company, and I don't meet one-on-one with my direct reports. The comments in LinkedIn, I think, did a really good job of describing the trade-off of the downside, which is on the positive side, you have autonomy, and you don't have to like have this person who's meeting with you every week. You have more time. And then with decision-making is distributed. Everyone gets to hear the problems. There's no asymmetry of information. All that stuff is really good. The downside is like, well, what about career conversations? And it turns out, like, when you report to a CEO, you don't have career conversations. That's been my experience. Kelli, has that been your experience too?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Totally. So I think, like, when you report to the CEO, you don't have career conversations. But like, imagine a world to where you operationalize that lower in the org. And I can see a world to where one-on-ones make sense, like every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks. But like this notion that we do one-on-ones every week because that's the way that good, quote unquote, good managers run their orgs. I don't know if that's true. Like, I've struggled with one-on-ones of like, what are we going to talk about this week? But I don't want to be an asshole and cancel the meeting. And it's just like these recurring things that we've done because it's just, yeah, maybe we don't do them and maybe we try something new. And I like that aspect of it.
I do that too, but let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, because what you just said was all or nothing. Let's like go from these silly every weekly meetings, which I agree. Like, I've been known for like setting them up and being like, do we need this? But being like, we're never going to have this, I think that's silly as well, right? It's just like that episode when Tomasz said, get rid of HR. It doesn't just go away. Like, the need for that work will be displaced elsewhere. And when I say that, you get rid of managers, you don't have one-on-ones, like, that shit's got to go somewhere. So even if it's as is, as you need, every 2, every 4 weeks, whatever it is, I do think there is a need for that. And I don't think it's as simple as like, we're so radical, we're going to throw it away. And I will challenge, because we've all seen those companies. I've coached a lot of CEOs where they say that they don't have HR, they're very flat, everyone's autonomous, then they call me at 150 people and they're like, I'm losing my fucking mind. I'm spending 12 hours a day on people stuff because we don't have managers. All this shit's coming to me. So I'm just saying, as always, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, but I do agree with the evolution.
Yeah. So I'm actually not. So I actually think there is like a V2 of this that isn't Jensen. I never do one-on-ones, but it's like I saw Kyle Tibbetts post in my comments, and Kyle is the CMO of Wander. And he was like, I'm doing this with my team. So then I started thinking about, okay, the CMO of Wander probably has 8 to 10 people on his team, and he doesn't do one-on-ones now. Well, he probably needs to do a one-on-one every 6 to 12 weeks, somewhere in that zone, to just have the career conversation, to build the relationship and the trust that you can't do in a group setting that isn't done as effectively there.
Yeah.
But everything else, and also just to be clear, what we do at my company is like, we do just sporadic phone call. Like we pick up the phone and call each other.
I love
which
that.
is so much more effective than
Yes.
like slacking or
Yes.
like just pick up the phone.
I
It's
think
fine.
4 times in the last week, I've been like, listen, just call me. I can't type.
Yeah, it's so much.
anymore. Like,
Yeah,
I'll
that's like
type.
humans are great that way. And also like it's spontaneous. Like let's optimize for spontaneity when we need it versus, oh, this is on the calendar and I abide by the calendar because we've always had this meeting, which doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, yes. Hey, everyone. We'll be right back in a moment after a word from our sponsors.
Here's a crazy stat. Between hybrid and frontline employees, about 80% don't typically work in an office. So it's no surprise that digitally engaging employees is the #1 concern for CEOs as companies go hybrid. But as hybrid is quickly becoming the norm, it's easy for workplaces to start feeling a little less human. Yet delighting a digital workforce is possible, and it can even be, dare we say, fun. That's where WorkVivo, Zoom's employee experience platform, comes in. If you've ever recoiled at the thought of a static intranet that looks like something you built in 1995 using MS Paint, have no fear. WorkVivo is a dynamic, intuitive, accessible, and mobile-first tool. People actually like using it, which is why companies like Ryanair, Dollar General, Virgin, and more have rolled it out to hundreds of thousands of employees. WorkVivo's activity feeds, spaces, shoutouts, and live streams, among other features, help elevate the employee experience like never before. The result? Dramatically better retention, productivity, and most importantly, connectedness. A greater sense of the belonging we all crave at work, whether we sit at a desk or drive a truck. Make WorkVivo the digital heart of your organization and achieve limitless human connection. Head to workvivo.com to book a demo and make sure you tell them that Nolan and Kelli from HR Heretics sent you. There's a world where your CRM is powerful, easily configured, and deeply intuitive. Attio makes that a reality. Attio is a radically new CRM built specifically for the new era of companies. It's flexible, easily configures to your unique data structures, works for any go-to-market motion from self-serve to sales-led. Attio automatically enriches your contacts, syncs your emails and calendar, lets you create powerful reports, and quickly build Zapier-style automations. The next era of companies deserves more than a one-size-fits-all CRM with an outdated UX. Join 11 labs, replicate, modal, and more. Try Attio instantly at attio.com. That's ATTIO.com, and tell them Nolan and Kelli from HR Heretics sent you.
Let's also not forget about the skill set and like the capability of these people to handle something like that, right? So some humans, some managers, some employees are better communicators. They're more skilled at this stuff. And others, they'll take this and be like, I'm free. We never have to fucking talk about stuff. You know what I mean? And that's when it could go wrong. And we've talked about why do we have all these silly HR programs and all this shit in place? A lot of it is a forcing function for people, not just managers, individual contributors as well, that without that, they wouldn't do the things that they need to do as far as communication feedback. So that's the other side of it, is if you take it away, some people will be like, we're done forever. I never have to do my homework.
And I wonder about that because you're right in today's construct. In the future, what we will start to see for companies that do want this is they will assess for candidates that can operate in the environment. And so what I mean by that is like, if you need your hand held and you need a weekly one-on-one and a company's like, we don't fucking do one-on-ones, you're not going to be successful there.
Yep.
And that's great.
And now we go back to what we talked about a fucking year ago. Be clear on who you are.
Yeah.
Be clear on your values and how you're going to operate. Someone's like, we're going to use AI instead of talking. Okay, that's a whole nother.
Okay, so let me hit on the Canva thing really fast because it's again, good branding. Like it's got a little bit of Shopify mastery to it. It's clearly just managers, just rebranded as coaches. But Lenny's question I thought was really interesting, which was, are you saying you have external coaches for your employees? And I've thought about this just with Continuum. We had 1,500 experts or whatever it was. And we had a couple of companies do this for high performers because they didn't have somebody inside of the company that the high performer could learn from. And so they leveraged like a you to go work with a first time head of people. And I've seen that work out amazingly well. And that's like an angle on like, instead of me having as a CEO, for example, a one-on-one with my direct reports, what if instead all of my direct reports got a functional coach that I thought was world-class, and we have like these 6 to 9 month engagements and they get a new one every 6 to 9 months. That is an interesting thing that I haven't seen tried that I think is going to be tried here in the next couple of years.
But like, how is that different than executive coaching? We just talked to Nathan about.
Because I think executive coaches are a little bit more focused on soft skills as opposed to functional expertise.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
so like a functional,
and I don't think that's been tried.
Yeah. Okay. So like a functional wing person that helps that leader stand up and execute.
Jake leads go to market for us. And so I can imagine a world to where like we get Jake, a go to market expert at the problem we're solving for like 6 months. But then like rotating to, you solve new problems as you earn the right to solve new ones, right? And so like rotates to the next one.
Yeah. So I can speak to that by experience. I've done that probably about 5 times with.
As which side? As like coach or operator?
The mentor, the coach.
Oh, interesting.
So, like a monthly retainer, you pair up with a head of people that's like deer in headlights or needs a little help. And you're, co-working with them. We would meet with the CEO sometimes, and the 3 of us would talk, which was like amazing, kryptonite like model. And I am surprised a lot more people don't do it. It can work really well. The only thing I'd say is like these coaches have to scrub in fast. They have to be able to like understand the context. They can't be the consultant Bobs of let me assess you for 4 months. Like you have to get in there and be like, what are you all trying to do? And speak their language, almost an executive at the table. So it can work really well. I've been a part of it, and it's really fun.
Scrubbing fast, I'm going to steal that for sure. But it's exactly right. Like you have to be able to go from 0 to full context to then adding value within a couple of weeks. Like,
and this is the role that like VCs, some of them invest in largely in go-to-market. They'll have them. But like on the talent side, most of them have talent partners that are more recruiting focused. Right. Like my dream job would be hanging out in a portfolio and being that scrubber inner, boom, for the whole portfolio. And I haven't seen a lot of folks invest in that. And to your point, that might be something, I think it's a smart investment for the future for sure.
Yep. So let us know what you guys think. Yeah. I mean, things are starting to happen. Like Kelly and I have been talking about this for a year now. And I think we're starting to see some people play around with some of these experiments. And so not only let us know what you think, but let us know what you see. We've seen the NVIDIA thing. I just saw the Canva thing this morning. Let us know who's doing interesting stuff because that's who we want to talk to on the pod. And that's where we want our feedback to come from.
Awesome. Thanks all.
HR Heretics is a podcast from Turpentine, the network behind Econ 102, Moment of Zen, and Turpentine VC. Subscribe, 5 stars, share it on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, all the things.